Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. On strike, Canada Post workers take to the picket lines. Plus, how are union leaders reacting to news of layoffs at the University of Windsor? And forget Bach, it's all about Bhangra at the Windsor Symphony Orchestra. That is later tonight. Let's start with the strike everyone is talking about. Canada Post workers across the country are pushing for better wages, benefits, and working conditions. More than 500 of those workers are in our area. The local union says their start times have been pushed back, making work-life balance nearly impossible.
6:30, let's make some noise!
Tish Glenn. I'm the president of Local 630 here in Windsor for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. As you know, we issued our strike notice, our 72-hour notice, and as of 12:01 last night into this morning, we were out here on strike. We appreciate the support that we're getting from the community. We appreciate the support that we're getting from the press. And we appreciate the support of all the cars that are going by honking.
You expect to see more people here today, more members here today?
Absolutely. There's going to be upwards of about 250 folks here today.
And how is everybody feeling right now?
Mixed emotions, right? A lot of folks like the conditions. I want to just stress on that. The safety work conditions that are happening inside those walls are not good. And one of the main points that we want to talk about is work-life balance. So the work-life balance, which are happening for these folks. We have late start times. You know, they're starting at like upwards from 10 a.m. to 11:30 and working into the late hours of the day and into the evening. So it's health and safety standards we're looking at. We just want to go to the table and have a fair, negotiated, collective agreement. We just want fair bargaining. That's all we're asking for. So please continue to support your postal workers.
The strike is, of course, happening just as the busy holiday season kicks off. We spoke with a local business owner who very much relies on Canada Post. She says she's unsure if other shipping options will be available to her.
The Canada Post strike, I am in full support of the workers' rights to exercise their right to strike, but it has been incredibly impactful to our business. My name is Kat Pasquach, and I am the owner of Culture Shock Bead Company and Culture Shock Jewelry. Culture Shock Bead Company is our storefront in Windsor, Essex. We're located on Erie Street by Victoria, and our main products are crystals and jewelry making supplies. And then we also have Culture Shock Jewelry, which is predominantly a handcrafted business of jewelry and Indigenous crafts. About 75% of our sales actually come from online sales. With Canada Post, we have the option to send small packets, which cost under $5 per package to mail. Majority of our clients are Indigenous artists in rural communities that rely on Canada Post as a means to market themselves, to sell their business. They turn to us for beads because in those communities, there generally aren't bead shops, there aren't bead suppliers. Places like Amazon don't ship to places like that. We meet that need. We bring our beads to those communities, to those customers, and because our family is Indigenous, we build really strong relationships with our clients. It's already been very tough running retail, and not just for myself in the shop, but small businesses across the country, actually, in terms of the decline in retail sales. We've talked about some options with customers that are interested in ordering stuff, and UPS trying to see if their addresses are eligible for delivery, but it's going to be taking time for those one-on-one conversations with every person that wants to place an order, whether or not they qualify.
The new Gordie Howe Bridge won't just be an international crossing, it will also be an artistic display. Well-known Vancouver artist and author Douglas Copeland has been commissioned to create a light show display, and he was in Windsor last night to hear some ideas for it. But as Del Mona reports, some people also have concerns.
I want the bridge to look like it's alive.
A small crowd turned out to the meeting held by the Bridge Authority, and they came with a variety of ideas for a new light show on the Gordie Howe International Bridge.
So with this, could there be some sort of connection to music? Like I'm thinking of the waterfall.
That's a great idea.
Renowned artist and author Douglas Copeland has been commissioned to create the light show.
I would think that if you were driving towards it and saw the fully animated bridge for the first time, you would say to yourself, I would hope you would say to yourself, like, that thing looks like it's alive. What's going on there?
Copeland created the undulating light display on the Telus building in Calgary, which is inspired by the Northern Lights, and he would like to do something like that here. except he would only be working with shades of white.
There's roughly 5,000 twinkle lights spread out across the towers, along the decks, the edges of the decks, and also on the cables. And he'll be able to individually program each of those lights to create something really fantastic.
But members of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, Windsor chapter, are concerned that the lighting will be too intense, adding to light pollution, which is already making it difficult to see the stars.
4,000 degrees Kelvin becomes irritating.
Chapter President Star Livingstone also has some safety concerns.
There are health issues for the people who use the bridge or live near the bridge regarding lighting. There's also environmental issues concerning bird migration.
Well, they're working really hard, they meaning the engineers, etc., to make sure that won't be an issue.
Bridge Authority Vice President Stephanie Campo says they have already taken many things into consideration.
At various times of the year, especially when migratory birds are moving in the area, unfortunately, we will have to dim it. We don't want to have any bird strikes or any effect on the migration patterns. So we're taking into account migratory birds, also looking at the effects on ship pilots who are navigating up and down the channel.
She says none of the lights will be pointed up to avoid light pollution. The public can still make suggestions online by emailing the Bridge Authority at info@wdbridge.com. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Faculty and staff at the University of Windsor are reeling with the news that layoffs are coming, as are salary freezes and hiring freezes, all as the university announces that it expects a $30 million shortfall for the next school year. The university president says reasons for this are a cap on international students, the domestic student tuition freeze, and rising costs, all while direct government funding has stagnated. Pierre Boulis is the president of the Windsor University Faculty Association.
We have a number of our people are scared, they're anxious. I think there's also a leadership crisis. We need leaders here who could help us get through to the other side of this feeling better and stronger. And doom and gloom messages isn't helping that.
Union leaders say staff are frustrated and they're confused as they're being told by the university to prepare to do less with less.
When those sorts of statements are made and it's not clear how those decisions were made, it doesn't bode well for trust.
Kristen Siapas is the acting president of CUPE 1393. It represents professional, technical, and trade staff at the university.
If the impact of these budget challenges is going to be taking away our ability to contribute to the campus community in a meaningful way, doing the work that we came here to do, then there is a sense that we're under attack. There is a sense that we're not going to be all in this together, because some of us are being laid off. Some of us are losing our ability to do our job in a meaningful way.
Siapas wants to see more transparency and communication from leadership.
We need to feel like we are being supported, and the more work that we can do to try and bring everyone together on the same page, the better.
Next, union leaders say they'll work to support their members, especially as they prepare to go into bargaining next year. Meanwhile, the full impact moving forward still isn't crystal clear, all as the university says no one is stepping in to save universities and tough decisions will have to be made. CBC reached out to the university for comment. Chris Potter joins us now for a quick look at weather. Chris, definitely a gray day out there.
At least it was dry. Unlike yesterday,
at least it was dry. That's true.
Yeah, dry weather today. Obviously locked in lots of cloud cover as expected. It's not until the overnight that we start to lose this cloud cover as high pressure triumphantly returns from the west, and that will establish a dry, fair weather day tomorrow with lots of sunshine. Daytime highs today climb towards 12. Now temperatures vary anywhere from 7 in Kitchener, 10 through Windsor. Dry conditions through the most part. The only activity was coming in off of Lake Huron, moving in towards Grand Bend. That activity is quickly starting to dissipate. The clouds will gradually start to clear out through the second half of the evening, but it will be more obvious as we head through the overnight. You'll be able to see some stars as we become clear with just a few clouds. Temperatures tonight will drop down and hold at around 3, back up to 6 for the morning hours with light northwesterly winds. The winds become more westerly as we head into the afternoon, and as a result of that and the sunshine, daytime highs around 13 for tomorrow. Kat, we'll give you a peek at what to expect next week coming up.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk to you again in a little bit, Chris. Thank you.
For sure.
Now, whatever notions you have of the symphony, you can set them aside. The Windsor Symphony Orchestra has entered a unique collaboration for 2 shows this weekend. Sonia Varma has more.
This is what may come to mind when you think of the symphony, but the Windsor Symphony Orchestra is trying to broaden its audience and shake up its image.
At its upcoming concert, don't expect this. Instead of Mozart or Beethoven, think Bhangra. For the first time, the WSO is pairing with the Windsor Bhangra Club. Bhangra is a traditional, energetic dance form from India. It's so far from orchestral music that when the symphony approached the club, Ranbir Garg thought it was a joke.
To be honest, we laughed. I say, it's not going to happen.
In this unexpected mashup, the symphony will play music from South Asian composers while Bhangra Club members dance to the beat. 14-year-old Jutmin Bal is one of about a dozen from the club practicing many hours to participate in the event. She admits the concept initially caught her off guard.
Wait, what do you mean live orchestra, you know? Like, I'm not really used to that.
It's interesting because the Indian community might not necessarily be familiar with going to the symphony, and the symphony community might not necessarily be familiar with Indian music. So it's a big experiment, and kudos to Windsor Symphony for doing this and for putting it on. And it is a risk. I believe we should be providing music that people love and that they enjoy. And if there's a large Indo-Canadian community, then let's do some of their music. But it seems like a no-brainer.
The WSO asked Toronto conductor Daniel Bartholomew Poyser to come to Windsor to direct these shows called Bhangra and Beyond. He's done it in other Canadian cities. At those concerts, he met people in the audience who had never been to the symphony before.
I felt like I was doing something good. I felt like I was doing something meaningful and something different and something maybe needful. Yeah, I felt really good.
He hopes shows like Bhangra and Beyond will lead to more people discovering the WSO. 14-year-old Bikram Dulay says he's sure it will.
Now, my mom didn't know what the symphony was yesterday, but today, after she heard it through this, now she wants to go.
For the WSO, that's music to its ears. Sonia Varma, CBC News, Windsor.
The Bhangra and Beyond shows run Saturday night and Sunday afternoon at the Capitol Theatre. In other local news now, 3 religious organizations in Windsor are getting a total of nearly $100,000 to improve security at their places of worship. The funding was announced today by Windsor-Tecumseh MP Eric Kusmerchuk. The money will go to 2 local Orthodox churches and 1 synagogue. And turning now to a national look at real estate. After a slow spring and a sluggish summer, Canada's housing market is showing signs of life. With a look at what may be behind the upswing, here is the CBC's Nisha Patel.
Just 10 days after a for sale sign went up, this Toronto house has sold.
Buyers have more choice. They have come back to the market stronger than it was in the summer. So the second floor sleeping quarters.
Realtor Josie Stern says the housing market is more balanced and buyers are in a better position than they were a few years ago.
They can negotiate on the price, which isn't something that is possible when there's a low supply market. They can negotiate their terms. They can finally put a condition on financing or inspection.
National home sales in October jumped 30% compared to a year ago. In major cities like Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal, sales have spiked by double digits. So the Bank of Canada's interest rate cuts may finally be having an impact as lower borrowing costs pull some buyers off the sidelines.
The numbers make sense for me at current interest rates. I felt comfortable, biting the bullet, taking the plunge.
Ozzy Osman has been renting for years, waiting for the right opportunity. He bought his first home in Montreal last month.
I'm doing it to put down roots for my family, and it's a pretty universal aspiration, homeownership, right? And I think a lot of the younger generation are feeling desperate and, feeling like they can't get that, and it's sad.
While home prices have moderated over the past 2 years, the average selling price these days is still nearly 30% higher compared to 2019.
Even though we have those new relaxed mortgage rules taking effect soon, we think it'll take a little bit more time before affordability is improved enough to allow a larger number of potential buyers to re-enter the market.
So for many Canadians, that dream of home ownership may still be out of reach. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. In a few minutes, we look at why U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's latest nominee is raising questions. But we begin on this side of the border with a national look at the Canada Post strike as thousands of workers go on strike just ahead of the busy holiday season.
I'm Sophia Harris in Toronto. 55,000 Canada Post workers went on strike today, affecting households and businesses across the country just ahead of the busy holiday season. Canada Post workers took to the streets Friday morning, but not to deliver mail. They walked off the job after their union and Canada Post failed to negotiate a new contract agreement. Negotiations are ongoing, but Canada Post and its workers remain far apart on key issues like wages. The Crown Corporation has proposed an 11.5% raise over 4 years. The union is pushing for almost double that amount.
The Grinch seems to have stolen Christmas for us. And for the holidays, we want to be able to work, but we want a fair contract at decent wages. The cost of living has gone up. It's affected us greatly.
Canada Post says it's struggling to keep afloat a business in decline due to encroaching competition from private carriers.
We're losing in the parcel business because we're not competitive. So we've got to put forward a plan and a proposal that we can afford and will allow us to grow.
The strike will bring Canada Post operations to a virtual standstill, hitting hard Canadians that rely on the service, including those in rural communities like Whitbourne, Newfoundland, which count on Canada Post for most of their deliveries.
It's going to put a lot of people in a hard state, just before Christmas. People want to get on the ball and get ahead of it, and it's like, this is not a great time for this.
It affects families, it affects seniors, and it also affects the bottom line for those who receive their checks in the mail.
Canada Post says essential checks like old age security will still be delivered. Nevertheless, the pressure is on for the federal government to find a solution.
I'm not looking at any other solution other than negotiation right now. Every day is a new day in collective bargaining, and we are going to continue to support the parties in any way we can.
If you've already posted mail, expect delays. Even after the strike is over, there will be a backlog of deliveries to deal with. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
I'm Steve Futterman in Los Angeles, following developments as Donald Trump's nominees for his cabinet continue to raise eyebrows. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is one of the latest. Trump wants him to be Secretary of Health and Human Services.
We want you to come up with things and ideas and what you've been talking about for a long time, and I think you're going to do some unbelievable things.
But many believe having someone who is a skeptic about vaccines isn't a good fit.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
And one of the things that was always certain was that the Secretary of Health and Human Services believed in science, believed in the power of public health science to improve people's lives.
Kennedy isn't the only outside-the-box nominee. Trump wants conservative firebrand Matt Gaetz, who has never tried a case in court, to be Attorney General, and former Fox News host Pete Hegseth to be Defense Secretary. Traditionally, nominees like Gaetz and Kennedy and Hegseth would need to be approved by the Senate. But there's a crack in the system that Trump has suggested he's willing to employ. It is called a recess appointment. If Congress is in adjournment for at least 10 days, an appointee can serve without being confirmed for up to 2 years. Some Republicans say they would go along with that.
So you support that recess appointment, and for Gaetz potentially.
Sure.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal, often on Trump's side, has blasted the idea, calling it unconstitutional. It would eliminate one of the basic checks on power that the founders built into the American system. And Matt Gaetz could face another problem, a House ethics report on allegations that he was involved in sex trafficking with an underage girl. The report has been completed but not released. Some in Congress on both sides say they want to see that report. Steve Futterman for CBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, it is Friday, and as we head into the weekend, here's what you need to know about weather. Tonight, chance of drizzle with a low of 3 degrees into the evening. But tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds, a high of 11 degrees and a low of 5. And what comes after that? Chris Potter will be here to tell us more after the break. Potter is back now for a look at weather. And Chris, I know folks are going to want to take advantage of the nice forecast for the weekend.
And you should. Obviously, not everyone, Kat, has the Saturday and Sunday. We'll call it the traditional weekend off.
That's true.
But if you are working, make sure you go outside and soak up some free vitamin D. Obviously, this time of year, the sun is not necessarily all that high in the air. It's a kind of a lower arc, but it's still going to be bright and sunny tomorrow with some scattered cloud. That's basically it for tomorrow. It's going to be dry. It's going to be relatively mild. It's going to be beautiful for you to get out and enjoy. In terms of the normal daytime high, the normal overnight low is 8.4 is the normal daytime high for this time of year, peaking close to 11 today. 1.1 is the average overnight low. This morning, it was close to 9. So once again, not much of a change from the morning to the afternoon today, as expected, with lots of cloud in place. Generally dry, patchy light drizzle will be possible as we head through the evening. But as we head through the overnight and into the day tomorrow, I expect a lot of that cloud cover to almost completely clear off the map. Temperatures right now at 9 in Windsor, 9 in Sarnia, 9 in Chatham, 8 through London, and not much variability there. And it's basically a similar story throughout much of southwestern Ontario. The range is anywhere from 7 to almost 10 degrees. Through the evening and overnight, we're still going to be fairly cloudy, at least to start, kind of damp feeling as well. This is thanks to the system continuing to move further away from the lower Great Lakes, moving towards the southeast, weakening. And then we have this void of active weather right here across the American upper Midwest. That's a high pressure ridge that starts to wander in towards southern Ontario. And as a result, we start to clear out nicely. So for the overnight, we'll become mostly clear. A little bit more cloud off the southern shores of Lake Huron. Once again, that northerly wind picking up moisture off of Lake Huron in the vicinity of London, maybe off towards Sarnia, the Lambton shoreline, but no rainfall is expected. Mostly sunshine is expected for most areas for tomorrow. As we get into the evening, the overnight, we start to see a little bit more cloud move in, mostly mid to high level cloud at first, so we'll stay dry through the day on Sunday. It's Sunday evening and overnight that we have an opportunity for a few passing showers. These would be very brief. They're going to quickly move across the region. Watch this in motion. Whoop, it's gone. So by daybreak on Monday, the rainfall risk is gone and we're back into sunshine. And once again, it's a seasonably mild day to get out and enjoy. If maybe Monday is your first day of weekend. Temperatures anywhere from 2 to 7 degrees, a little bit warmer or milder, less cool, if you will, towards Sarnia because of that northerly wind pushing off Lake Huron, because Lake Huron waters are around 10 degrees right now. Temperatures anywhere from 11 to 13 degrees for tomorrow under mostly sunshine. I have mostly cloud cover for Sunday. Sunday, late evening into the beginning stages of the overnight, a little bit of passing showers. Back into mostly sunshine or almost complete sunshine, Kat, for Monday with a high of 13, 15 for Tuesday with a chance of a few showers, and then on and off showers for Wednesday.
Love that. Thanks for that, Chris. And thanks to you all for watching. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For more, go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Have a great weekend.